All right. Welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Bernd. Evan, how are we doing?
Honestly, can't complain. Weather's kind of gross, but vibes are high. Though it's rainy, but I feel like we're getting closer to that warmer weather, so that's all I'm looking forward to this week.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, okay? So as I mentioned Evan earlier, I did go to the Brewer game today. Unfortunate 8-6 loss.
Mm-hmm.
It sucked to drive because it waffled. Because like obviously, as you guys know, I live in Madison. It waffled between being like, okay, like rain, then it stopped raining, downpour, sprinkle. Like so, it was just like three different weather patterns in like my entire hour and 30-minute drive back to Madison. It sucked.
They take the water hose and they just start clicking it around to see which one you get.
It stunk, and you know, it was to the point where my windshield wipers were still on, even if like there was no rain coming down. Like that, like when you get so many weather changes like that, it's like, okay, but I feel stupid like having my windshield wipers continue to be on, even when the weather is like just stopped raining from like the front and the back. So let's get right into it. Not really into this because the Bucks lost again 126-106. Again, I think the one positive that could be taken away is I think AJ Green set the most threes in a season record for the Milwaukee Bucks. He passed Ray Allen. So that's a positive.
Yeah, can't complain about that.
Not only that, he also set the record for the most threes in a game. He had 11 threes, I believe, the other night against the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that passed guys like Malik Beasley and actually not Malik Beasley, excuse me. Like Damian Lillard had 10 and 1 point. And it came a point where the Bucks were hunting for AJ Green to get the ball and to score.
Yeah, he was hitting some crazy ones too.
Oh my gosh. And some of the fans were mad because it's like, well, why are the Bucks like winning games? Like, well, it's against the Nets. It's really hard to tank against a team that's equally bad. But here's the thing. Like, first of all, in this game in particular, so they had George and Maxey, which is expected.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they didn't play, you know, they played him decent amount of minutes. He scored like 21 points in 27 minutes. Maxey did. George only scored 11 points in 21 minutes. So it wasn't like, so everybody was just kind of going through the motions. You had guys like Pete Nance missed the game. BP missed a large chunk of the year within the last month. KPJ had his knee surgery, obviously. Ajax, they were basically like, screw it. Ajax, you get 30 minutes. Took 10 shots. Cormac Ryan had 22 points at 8-20 shooting. So, these are some guys that I think should be on the Bucks next year. Like, I think they should think about keeping some of these guys. Like, I would love it if they kept Cormac Ryan. I think he showed out, like, once he got signed. And, you know, he can move without the basketball, having another guy like that. And, you know, not to be understated, his defense on some of these guys was really, really good. I liked Cormac Ryan's defense. I actually think that's the more underrated part of his game. But enough of that. Let's dive deep into this business, Evan, because this one's going to be a lot to dig into. But basically, the other day, our good friend, Sharm Sharonia.
Yes. What happened? I'm intrigued.
Well, he dropped another article about the Bucks. But this was a longer form one, right? It's about basically the season that was for the Milwaukee Bucks, and if you guys want to read it, I interest you to check it out. I'm going to throw in some excerpts. Basically, the thing that he's been saying the entire time was Giannis, like Giannis said, the team they wanted to go to was the Knicks. And they were making more of a push in January. And, you know, it's time to move on, this, that, and the third. And, you know, he was basically talking about, you know, the Doc Rivers check my resume stuff, which Doc said they took that out of context. yeah, it was just a lot of stuff. And Doc Rivers responded the other day. He said that article was inaccurate. Okay. And he said the only reason why Shams wrote that is because basically, from what Doc was saying, he had an axe to grind. Because if you guys remember, like where Doc was jokingly, when Shams was a part of All Star Weekend, when he was a part of the All Star Celebrity Game, when he was on Giannis' team, Doc was like, with all the stuff that Shams has released about Giannis, Doc joked and said, well, Giannis should trade him. Obviously saying it in jest. Shams gets so mad. Apparently he demanded the Bucks take it down. And he was telling, and Doc Rivers told Michelle Beal the other day that basically it was Shams, that was revenge for Doc saying they should trade Shams. That's what the article was. So, Evan, that was a lot that we dug into. But, first of all, did you read the article, and what was your reaction to it when you first read it?
Yeah, I got like the major gist of it. Excuse me. No, it's just I feel like just to like look at the Bucks season, I feel like it's just a very good like summary of how everything has gone this year. I feel like everything really has been Shams related, and I feel like this is just kind of that cherry on top where it's like that one chapter's ending and you think it's like kind of done, and then it slowly starts to resurface. But based off of I feel like what Doc Rivers was talking about, I don't know. It seems silly. Again, it seems very like middle school drama-esque, but no, I think just like the firing back was, I think, just a good way for Doc to kind of go out with it. Where's Woj? I miss Woj so much. One of the funnier parts about the article itself, but I don't know. It's just silly, and it just needs to stop. It doesn't need to stop, but I don't know. There's just so much going on with it. I just feel like the way that Doc Rivers handled it was just kind of putting an end to it, and just who knows what Shams going to repeat with. But yeah, it seems very middle school drama, or like just your typical like Drake Kendrick beef where it's like, well, now I'm going to fight back. Now I'm going to fight back. And it's funny at this point because these are like two grown men having a banter about one person's job that he just, doesn't do too well. You're muted. There you go.
There we go. Yep, guys. All right, I have a little breaking news. According to Shams, it's actually official. Doc Rivers is departing as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, so it's tell ESPN. After a 52-30 season, the Bucks will embark on their third coaching search in the last 3 years. What's your reaction to that?
Thank God. Honestly, respect to him, though. Doc Rivers, again, you can't disregard, obviously, everything. I know we've talked about our thoughts on him in the past, especially the last podcast, but I don't know. It's a refresh and it needs to happen. Again, he was not the coach of the future. He never should have been our coach in the first place, period. Like, there was just no reason for them to, again, either keep Adrian Griffin or you, again, find someone else. Doc Rivers should have never been an option. Again, he was already out of the league, and he hasn't had success too in the recent past as well. So I didn't really understand that signing anyways, but no, again, I'm assuming you're going to trade Giannis. You are just refresh with everything and just kind of go on. But again, there's nothing really that he necessarily did to our team that really should be noted, but I wouldn't say good riddance, but I think it's just a much needed refresher to go into next season knowing that, all right, let's pick this correctly. Let's, again, make sure we are truly getting the right guy. And again, it could take a year or two. I know there were I saw rumors that my dad had sent me of like potential like Doc Rivers finds like a different management job within the Bucks, but then they're looking at I always forget his name, the coach of the Grizzlies, see if he comes over here.
Taylor Jenkins.
Yes, Jenkins. But no, I'm happy that he's gone. Again, it was needed. It was long overdue. And I just think now it's a good time to just really start sitting down and figure out who truly is going to be their coach of the future, because they can't keep going a few years finding new guys.
So the other options I've seen was Darvin Ham. And, this name has been thrown out there for years and years and years. Chris Quinn, who is still the Miami Heat assistant coach. And so before I get into mine, what did you think of those options outside of Taylor Jenkins?
I don't know as much with the guy in the Heat, but they're obviously Taylor Jenkins has a decent resume, been great with the Grizzlies. Again, working with what you have, essentially. Obviously, it's not like they're title contenders every year, but again, they just have to kind of go with the get younger and really find these guys who, again, know the game a lot more, aren't the old school style type coaches. But I'm honestly, I don't want Darvin Ham, respectfully. I feel like it's been tried before. People hate on him being a head coach, but I think he's a much better assistant coach. He was a huge reason the Bucks won in 2021, and people again oversee that based off his Lakers tenure. But I don't see him being in a head coaching role for them, especially. Again, I've thrown out Rondo before. There's just other guys that I feel like would be a lot better in that role than Darvin Ham. Again, respectfully.
Hey, Evan, salute. Look, people have brought up Rondo before, and DeMarcus Cousins said at one point, and I've heard players talk about this. Dude, Rajon Rondo is one of the smartest
exactly
players, like when he was out on the floor. Now, how is he relating to people? Okay, that's my question. That would be my biggest question is, look, people say the same thing about Chris Paul. Oh, my God, CP3 is an insane basketball mind. Okay, but most people view him as an asshole. So like, again,
yep.
is he one of those people who's like a basketball savant, but but he's not a good teacher? You can't have that. You've had savants before, Larry Bird, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Kareem, like Michael Jordan. Evan, those are people who I would consider to be the greatest basketball players of all time and savants. But people consider, okay, well, they wouldn't make good coaches. Can they teach?
Correct. Yeah, there's always
we saw how Michael Jordan was as the owner of the Hornets. Awful, because he couldn't teach, because he had a bunch of yes men around him. Like, just because a guy's really smart, like, here's what I think. I actually think as much credentials as a guy could have as a player, awful as a coach. Magic Johnson couldn't cut it as a coach. Larry Bird was only going to do it for 3 years. Michael Jordan knew that he was not going to make a good coach, but he wanted to hire all Carolina guys. Okay, like that's the problem. Is those guys only see things? Those guys only want to hire their guys. All right, like that's why Michael Jordan wouldn't have made a great coach. He was too you know how Michael Jordan is. Okay, he was one of the biggest. As much as you want, dude. Those Bulls fans even said it's it was hard. It was hard to be his teammate. Because he would rise constantly, and you can't have a coach. You can't have a coach like that. Okay, it just doesn't work like that. Having the back end guys are just good players. Those are your coaches because they see the game from a different lens. Okay, basketball savants see things before they happen. They're just they have a counter move upon counter move upon counter move, but you can't teach. And look, I've always been in favor, and going back to my options for a sec, I think the Bucks should have another extension of Mike Budenholzer. I hate to say that. Go with Taylor Jenkins. I think that's a home run hire. He never should have been fired from the Grizzlies. I get it. There was maybe control, maybe he lost control of the team. I don't know, and I don't particularly care. Taylor Jenkins is your coach. You can't have another extension of Doc Rivers. Okay, you can't have the Heat coach Chris Quinn, because I know Chris Quinn is a really smart guard, back in the day, back in the early 2000s. But again, there's got to be a reason why he's not getting these jobs, why he's getting passed up. And with the NBA job market, with what it's going to look like this season, because I don't think there's going to be. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of teams firing coaches.
Correct.
They literally fired Doc Rivers 30 minutes after, so that decision was pre-made. All right, Doc Rivers won't be there's just not going to be you already got the announcement that the Kings are bringing back their coach. So I'm just trying to figure out how many teams are going to be firing their guys. Lakers are fine, Clippers are fine. How many bad teams are there truly? I just don't think there's going to be the job market's going to be like the NFL.
Yeah, the only other person I could think of, again, kind of looking at more coaches. I know we've talked about it. I want to say a year or two ago when it was kind of talking with Adrian Griffin and all that mumbo jumbo. But Sam Cassell, again, I feel like always is a name that hovers. He's just always been assistant coach. I don't know if he would rather just be an assistant. Obviously, currently with the Celtics, but obviously played for the Bucks. I mean, Taylor Jenkins was an assistant coach for the Bucks for a year or two in 2018, 2019. I always forget about that. But yeah, I feel like, again, they're not younger guys. They're in their 50s, but it's not like you are just going super old school. 56 is still young in my book. But again, I feel like Taylor Jenkins is also a slam dunk. I feel like there's really no other reason, especially if we're, again, dropping. Not if, when, since we did drop Doc Rivers, I feel like you just gotta shoot for it at least and see if he truly is the correct fit. I mean, I can't see why he wouldn't be, but again, if we're going in the route, he's worked with a lot of younger guys too. Again, he's been in Milwaukee before as well. I'd say within a decade or so. Again, I keep wanting to say recently, but 2018 was already 8 years ago. But no, I feel like, again, that's going to be you're definitely your top guy, and someone you should look out for. Again, fired for no reason, personally. I feel like, again, getting fired just with who you're working with and how well that the team is put around you. But no, I feel like it's definitely an obvious choice to definitely target him the most. Again, especially with, you can't imagine a lot of teams are going to be firing their coaches, again, with a lot of success, or just not different turnarounds for some of the organizations where it just doesn't even make sense to fire their coach at that point.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now, who the really bad teams are. Okay, we got the Pelicans. I think they had an interim coach, so they're probably going to fire so they might look for a new one. The Grizzlies, the Grizzlies just hired one last year. I don't see the Grizzlies are going to be, you know. Mavericks, I mean, Jason Kidd, is this job safe? I mean, who knows? Jason Kidd, the number one overall, had the number one overall pick, only won 25 games. The Kings already announced that they're going to be hiring back, retaining Doug Christie, so he's not going anywhere.
I never know what the Kings are doing, to be honest.
I don't either. They go to the playoffs, and then all of a sudden the owner's just like, fuck it, let's just get rid of all the players that went to the playoffs. Will Hardy's probably not going to be fired with the Jazz. The Jazz are still not going to expect it to be good. And then let's go to the Eastern Conference. Chicago with Billy Donovan. Well, they're going to have a new general manager and president of basketball operations, so his job's not safe. The Nets, I don't think they're doing anything with Jody Fernandez. The Pacers are not going to be doing anything with Rick Carlisle because they're going to be getting Tyrese Halliburton back.
Correct. And
the Wizards are probably not going to be doing anything with Brian Keefe because they're still the Wizards. You're going to expect me to tell me that they're going to get a coach who's better than the one that they currently got, I mean, that's not a good basketball team. Like, when you tear a team down to the studs, it's like, what do you expect? So I mean, just not a lot of coaches are going to be looking for jobs, and if there are, it sounds like Mike Budenholzer might be on the outside looking in because like those really sound like rebuilding projects. Like I think Mike Budenholzer should get another shot in the right situation because I think he can.
Oh, I do too.
Because that's the thing. Because here's the thing: if you're going to hire Doc Rivers because all he does is win regular season, doesn't win the playoffs, how is that any different from like what Mike Budenholzer did? That's no different. That's absolutely, positively no different. Just winning in the postseason. That is, or not winning in the postseason, and winning one championship, and like winning a lot in the regular season, not winning a lot in the postseason. That is basically Doc Rivers. They basically hired the black version of Mike Budenholzer. That was my biggest complaint with it. It's like, okay, so you didn't like the fact that Bucks weren't advancing in the playoffs, okay? Which, keep in mind, they went second year first. They got second round, first round. Then Budenholzer was fired, so you didn't like that. But you were fine with Doc Rivers, who basically made a career of doing the exact same thing. Like that's the part that made me mad. Like that's where it was like, you guys are idiots. Because we're not getting a better coach. You fire a coach after 31-13, and then you just hired another version of Mike Budenholzer. It was maddening. Acting like Doc Rivers was going to take you far in the playoffs. It was so maddening because it was like he's had a career. Evan, he has not made an Eastern Conference Finals since 2012. What did they think Doc Rivers was going to be able to do for them? He never made it for the Clippers. That's the insane part. With how stacked they had Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, Jamal Crawford, a stacked-ass Clippers team, they could only make it to the second round. And then they hired him. I'm like, what are you expecting to get out of these guys? So that's the part. That was the maddening part about it. Where it's just like, I just don't know what they were expecting.
Yep, and it was so fast, too.
Oh, my goodness.
And we knew it was going to happen.
We knew it.
As soon as he was fired, it was so known that Doc Rivers was going to be fired or going to be hired.
Knew it. You just knew it. It was only a matter of time before he was gonna. It was just, again, it was only a matter of time before he got it. Let's see. Oh well, I wrote a Doc's future. Well, Doc's done. I already got that. Oh, this is a spicy one. So we already kind of talked about AJ Green's like big day. About like having 13 threes, which again, honestly, that's so the Bucks. That's so like Milwaukee, where like end of the year they got like, I don't look at AJ Green a bench guy, like because this is different from the Pat Connaughton performance from last year, where Pat Connaughton really wasn't playing for like the last month or two, and all of a sudden he just went off against the Pistons. Very different from that, because AJ Green just did it against the Nets, which is like, all right, well, whatever. But, again, still a big performance, so shout out AJ Green on that. Here's my thing. Here's a little spicy little thing that I saw, Evan. Okay? I saw this from Sam Amick. He was also on Michelle Beato's FanDuel show. And he said, if the Boston Celtics bow out of the playoffs early, if they don't even at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, there could be talks that they could trade either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown for Giannis. They're going to upgrade their team that way. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man. First of all, I hate Boston. I hate Boston sports. I hate Boston fans. I've never liked the Celtics. However, I'll take Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. I'm never gonna complain about that. But oh man, I didn't even see that. I think the whole idea with that would be if the Bucks were to make that trade. Again, that would completely blow up like that whole duo trio over there. But I don't know. I feel like if they were going to make that trade, Is it better to get Jaylen Brown? I feel like I don't know. I don't know. That's such a hard question.
Because here's the part that we need to consider. Okay?
I just looked it up.
Hmm.
No, I was just looking at it and like I see all the articles for it where it's like,
Yep. Yep.
Okay, like again, I love Giannis. I want Giannis to be on the Bucks forever. But like, this is what I love in sports. It's just these groundbreaking trades. I loved it, and it could affect my team at any time in a positive or negative way. But like with this Giannis aspect, I'm going off grid right now with the question. But like again, I love Giannis. I just want when they trade him. It's not if anymore. It's when they trade him. It's the whole idea of like I still want him to be able to come back to Milwaukee and still be like a part of the team and the culture of the city of Milwaukee or the state of Wisconsin. Like Kareem, like when he came back for the championship run, he like was like Bucks are not winning, and then here he comes wilding into Milwaukee. It's like he was very fake about Milwaukee, which I think bothers me. Like I don't want Giannis to leave on a bad note. And I want him to get a statue out here. We don't have any statues. I want a Giannis statue and like to be able to allow him to continue coming back to the stadium. You know, Brandon Jennings does a lot. I got to meet Brandon Jennings the other day, fun fact, at the game. But like I want these guys to keep coming back and enjoying the city of Milwaukee. Like Brandon Jennings, he didn't win a championship. He got cooked in the playoffs all the time, but like he just loves the city and loves the culture. And like that's what I want to see. It's like if you do make this trade, I just want to be able to have that aspect of Giannis coming back where it's like, again, we're not going to win anymore with him. Like we're completely out of that. So again, if we can get that value for him, great. Like great. I want it to be on that note where this man would love to just come back to Milwaukee and be able to bring it in, which I feel like he will. It's not like we are slowly pushing him out of the team itself, or the organization, I have to say, overall, but it's a very hard hitting question when again it is like the Bucks have not had a player like this truly since Kareem. Like it hasn't. They won the championship with him, and then they haven't done anything since. They've had some great players, but not anywhere on the aspect of Giannis's level. So again, it is so hard that at least we won. We won one. We should have got I think 2 or 3. But again, you can say you've seen one, but yeah, it's just that's so crazy for the Celtics to do that too. Like truly crazy if they were to do it, especially if it's Jason Tatum. I think if sorry, it's just so crazy to think about. I think if the Bucks or the Celtics traded Jason Tatum to the Bucks for Giannis, I feel like people would hate it. I feel like Celtics fans would kind of feel betrayed, like an Isaiah Thomas kind of trade. You know, you get these guys and then you trade them for another superstar, Kyrie Irving, again, which did not work out at all for the Celtics. But I don't know.
I think that's one of the rare ones where yeah, that's the thing. It's so hard to make like a franchise-altering decision like that. And the Celtics case, it just, jeez Louise. Like, that was one of those where both sides actually lost that trade. Because Kyrie, towards the end of Boston, got to be too difficult to work with. Nobody wanted him. Like, he was just, like, you know, he had buyers. He thought he could be the guy. He didn't realize how hard it was. Like, you know, especially in that first year where, you know, Kyrie missed like portion of the season due to a knee issue, and then Gordon Hayward like had that horrific injury that was like franchise altering because and you know they tried, okay, and you know the Celtics or the Cavs didn't realize that how messed up IT's hip was. Now he's like on Instagram just being like, "Oh, I'm still available." I'm sure you are. And like it just didn't work. It didn't work.
Yeah, it just literally didn't work. That's the same thing with the Lillard trade. It just didn't work.
It just didn't work, and look, that's okay. And that's okay. Like sometimes you take a swing like that. I don't fault the Bucks for doing it. It just, you got to put the pieces around them, and they didn't do a good enough job of doing that. And just kind of go.
Or a lot of the guys just weren't holding up their end.
No, and Bucks have to realize that this could either move them forward for 3 years or set them back for 7. Okay, they have to be careful with how they deal with Giannis. Okay, be very careful with this trade. All right, you have to get a superstar in return. One superstar.
Correct. Yeah.
If you're not going to get one superstar in return, this is not a good trade. I'm sorry, it's not. You have to get a player of equal value for Giannis. You have to. Okay, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown fit that criteria. They do. Okay. Now, people may be a little nervous about Jason Tatum because he's coming off an Achilles, but keep in mind, every athlete would tell you that, like, what Jason Tatum did is very insane. He had the surgery the same night, and he was able to come back this season, Evan. Every single player who I know has torn his Achilles has at least gone on to miss the year or the following season. What Jason Tatum did is rare. It's the first time that I've heard it happening. The fact that a player in 2020 can come back like at least the following year, that is crazy. And it's because he had the surgery the same night that he tore it. Which, I mean, geez Louise. Like, Tyrese Halliburton had to sit out a little bit. People are making fun of him, saying he's too fat now. But it's like, well, all right. Well, he's not playing.
Yeah.
Of course he's fat.
Correct.
Like, what do you expect? He's not going to be, of course he's eating, like, cookie dough ice cream and stuff. Like, he can't move. So, he'll be back. He says he's going to burn it off. So, Tyrese is going to be fine. The Pacers are going to finish with the worst record, only winning 19 games. And, so yeah, again, it's just, you have to realize that the Bucks are about to make a franchise-altering decision, and they better be very careful with how they do it. Okay, don't get I don't want Jimmy Haslam too involved in this. Okay, I want everybody, to be as involved as possible in this. Okay, think clearly about what you're going to do. All right. And I'm a little worried because I know this guy is, like, not a good writer and stuff like that, or, like, I don't believe it. But I heard somewhere that Jimmy Haslam might seek full ownership or full control of the Bucks, and that's going to scare the shit out of me if that happens.
Yeah,
it's going to scare the absolute shit out of me if Jimmy Haslam is going to seek full control of Milwaukee. I do not want that. I don't think there's any Bucks fan that wants that. Like, be very nervous if that happens. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, all right. Last topic of the season. If Giannis leaves, who should the Bucks build around?
I feel like logically it's Ryan Rollins and Usman Dieng. I feel like they have the most promising out of everyone, and a lot of these guys are just good, or a lot of their other players I feel like just kind of fit around them. I think AJ Green and Cormac Ryan complement each other, which is a good, again, fit for Rollins and Usman. But if you're going to pick out the two of them, I also think Dieng, just because, again, younger, can show true potential. I just, again, think he needs a coach to, again, the right coach to help fit his style of play. Again, I know he won with the Thunder, but again, he wasn't getting true minutes that year. Again, he did play in Game 7, but it's not like he was the leading guy to kind of bring him to that championship. So again, still has that great potential. I think the 11th overall pick a few years ago, but getting him, I feel like kind of was a steal for what they had to give up. And I don't know, I feel like it's a kind of an obvious answer to really focus on him to bring that young talent. And again, he's already showed that he's capable of doing it. On the rebounding wise, the scoring wise, and the assist wise, I feel like it's a no-brainer to kind of go with him in Rounds, especially with how much they've denied anything about Rounds being traded. They're sticking to him, and again, he's completely showed out this year in the past few seasons, with more opportunities, I feel like. But I feel like you got to go with those two, and then again get those guys that complement them, like AJ Green, like Cormac Ryan, and maybe someone else out there. I feel like there's not a lot of guys right now on the Bucks that I feel like have that true potential of doing that, and I feel like a lot of them are going to be gone. But if I'm the Bucks organization, I'm picking those two and I'm running with it again, which seems kind of like a crazy thing to say. Like I'm building around Ryan Rollins. I don't know if anyone's ever said that before, but I truly think he showed out this year, and again, he has showed a lot of potential. It wasn't like a 1 month wonder. He kept going that whole season. Again, obviously, there's always some misses throughout the season as well, because that's a normal person. But no, truly expanded his range of gameplay this year, and I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that. Get the two younger guys out there and allow them to get guys again who fit around them.
I've said Ryan Rollins, and I've said Ryan Rollins from the start, and here's why. He had the largest single game jump from season to season in Bucks history. His points per game went up 11 points. Okay, Ryan Rollins was spectacular, and it's so rare to see. It's so rare to see a guy who just goes from like a guy who's just really good on defense, which is what he was last year, just like a defensive stopper essentially, to now having a bag, like not having Damian Lillard and Ryan Rollins just working the entire summer, just being like, all right, I'll take up more of the offensive scoring load. And he did it throughout the year too. I know he missed like a handful of games, but he was spectacular this season, and he was adding new things to his arsenal that I didn't see him have last year. Like he just didn't. Maybe he wasn't comfortable. Maybe like with Damian Lillard, it's like and this is coming from the guy who Rollins only played game 1 last season against the Pacers, like started game 1 and then just didn't really see the rest of the floor. And KPJ gets hurt, Ryan Rollins gets an opportunity, and he really showed out this year, and I was really impressed with him. Ousmane Dieng, I agree with you on that wholeheartedly. I think he was a great pickup, like a great young player. And I think that those are the type of players Milwaukee needs to get. It's just keep drafting and developing. And, that was the frustration part of it. It's like when you're chasing a championship every year, you try to weave guys in and out. It's like, all right, Dante DiVincenzo, not part of our future. And, some of these have turned out to be a mistake because I think Dante DiVincenzo has been a great player. Right? I would not have traded him for like a broken down Serge Ibaka. And I've said that. Sam Merrill, I would have kept him. AJ Johnson, he's contributing for the Wizards, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, they're getting guys, but they're not like keeping them. Like Ajax, I love Ajax. He should not have been the only guy on that team. Okay. And, I get why, they've missed again. And you're right. They missed on some draft picks. They missed on Beauchamp. All right. And I was worried about the Beauchamp getting drafted because, those G League Ignite players, it's like, I just didn't think they played the right brand of basketball. I proved to be correct about that. Jalen Green still remains to be seen. Like, so again, you have to kind of take it where, they're drafting these guys. They're identifying the players that they want, but they're not keeping them. And now I think they're in a position where they can kind of be like old Utah-ish, where, all right, well, we're not in a position to win. We're not feeling pressured to win. So let's start drafting like getting rid of Giannis, or getting like maybe a piece or two, and stuff like that. Develop them, like you developed Giannis. All right, you fire horse. Okay, you developed Giannis. Bucks used to be a developmental program. They just went away from that because they were trying to maximize Giannis's prime. So it's like, all right, well, let's get rid of the guys that we don't think is going to be our future guys. It's like, well, no, those players helped you win playoff games. Okay, like Grayson Allen helped you win a playoff series. So like that's the only part there I'm like, okay, just relax with all, stop trying to improve the team each and every year. I appreciate you doing it, but you can't really get rid of too many contributing players, because then if the contributing players you bring in don't contribute, then the team's just going to do exactly how you think they're going to do.
Yeah, and I feel like, kind of going off the comment of Firehorst, I feel like, again, if you're gonna make these big moves, it's just gonna have to be done the smart way. I feel like the Bucks are trying to draft another Giannis. They just try to find these random guys who are like, oh, like this is gonna be a sneaky draft pick. Like let's go, and then they give up on them. Where it's like there are guys out there who are well-known names who could be the next Giannis for the Bucks, but then they just decide to pick these. I don't know, like. Again, I think AJ Johnson was from like the Australian league, like he was last night. He was averaging 3 points. It's like, oh, like we're gonna turn this guy around and and it's like it just didn't work, or you just gave up on him. Again, say with Marjan, it's like, oh, let's get this G League United guy. It's like there's just so many things where they just think they're gonna get Giannis again in every draft, and it's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But then if you pick the guys who, develop through college or even overseas, and it's like, this guy's going to be really good. He's right there. Should we take him? They're like, no, let's go get this not random guy, but let's go find someone else who doesn't make sense for this time being. I just feel like they're just going to have to be smart with their draft. So if you're going to fire Horace, you're just going to have to pick a guy or hire a guy who is capable of drafting. I feel like Horace has been horrible with drafting, but his trades have been iffy here or there, but like some make sense. Some are like, it just didn't work out how the way they wanted it to. But I don't know, if you're going to fire Horace, I feel like you're just going to really have to find a guy who knows how to draft in the first round, especially with them most likely trading Giannis in the near future. Again, who knows if they get Taylor Jenkins, if he, changes his mind and wants to stay. So you kind of never know with what's going to happen in the next few months for the summer. For that once that NBA season's done. But there's just a lot to think about, and I feel like you're just gonna have to be smart because it can be this summer. I feel like it's gonna be very make or break for the next 5-ish years at least for the Bucks organization, just seeing how they're able to kind of move forward and getting back into playoff contention. I wouldn't say championship contention. I'm going to say playoff contention because they got to make the playoffs first before. But I don't know. There's going to be a lot of big things coming, and I just feel like I'm ready for it, but I'm not ready for it. But no, there's just a lot to put together in true aspects of where they really want to go with the whole Giannis situation and the ownership GM situation. You got to play it smart somehow, and I feel like there's always room to screw it up.
Yeah. By the way, the Bucks. Quick side note: they should have a rule. I was thinking about this, where like the Packers have this rule where like their president can't serve like past 70. I think the Bucks should have the same rule because Jimmy Haslam's 72, and I really don't want him making important decisions for our team's future because he's not like a true, like I get he's an owner, but like okay, I've never seen him in the city. Like he's not really a true,
correct.
Like he's not truly from what's like
there.
He's just there. I mean, he's just another billionaire. So.
Yeah.
Evan, we got anything else before we wrap things up here for the NBA season?
Again, very doozy season. Obviously, not how we predicted it back in September, October, but no, it's going to be an interesting summer, and I feel like we haven't had something like this in well over a decade. Giannis could not be on the team anymore, or Giannis could be coming back and signing an extension. Who knows at this point? Honestly, like I talk myself into saying one thing, and then I can think of ways to think he could stay. Again, we just don't know, but who knows? It's going to be, again, an interesting next few months once that season ends. New coach, maybe a new GM, maybe some new players. Who knows? But it'll be exciting again, whether Giannis is here or not. I feel like, again, I'm always going to rock with the Bucks. I know you are too, and who knows? Maybe we get something big out of it.
Yep. So as kind of said before, Evan and I are going to go on a little break because the Bucks aren't in the playoffs, and there's really no need for us to keep doing these podcasts until the Bucks actually make another important decision. Which, whether it's the head coach, whether it's the trade of Giannis. Whether maybe potentially a GM getting fired, who knows? Okay, but I can tell you this: Evan and I will be right here with you providing we'll release a podcast episode once we, aren't so damn busy all the time. But however, until that point, thank you guys so much for your support this season. And for one last time, thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. And we'll see you guys when we see you.